Hello students, welcome back to this video tutorial. In this video, we will be discussing the fiction Great Expectations, themes and symbols. I hope you have already followed the previous video where I have explained the introduction, where the characters and the plot is introduced. Okay, so in this video we will be discussing the themes and symbols. Many a times we had discussed the themes. So themes are usually ideas, okay, that are run along the way through a literary text. So when you analyze them, you can understand the writer's intentions, why or what choice they have made, why or what are they trying to get the readers to think and feel. So analyzing them or analyzing the themes will allow you to write comprehensively about a literary text. Let's look into the themes and symbols of this novel. Okay, so the title's expectations refers to a legacy to come and thus immediately announce that money or more specifically wealth plays an important part in the novel. So some of the major themes are crime, social class, including both gentility and social alienation, imperialism and ambition. So the novel is also concerned with questions relating to conscience and moral regeneration as well as redemption through love. So here the first theme we will discuss is Pip as social outcasts. Okay, a central theme here is of people living as social outcasts. The novel opening setting emphasizes this. The orphaned Pip lives in an isolated, foggy environment next to a graveyard, dangerous swamps, and a prison ship. Furthermore, if we will find that I was always treated as if I had insisted on being born. This is what Pip says, that he was treated as if he insisted on being born in opposition to the dictates of reason, religion and morality. Pip feels excluded by society, and this leads to his aggressive attitude towards it, as he tries to win his place within it through many means. Various other characters behave similarly. That is, the oppressed become the oppressors. Jackers dominates Wemmick, who in turn dominates Jacker's clients. Likewise, Macwitch uses Pip as an instrument of vengeance as Miss Havisham uses Stella. However, Pip has hope despite his sense of exclusion because he is convinced that divine providence owes him a place in society and that marriage to Stella is his destiny. Therefore, when fortune comes his way, Pip shows no surprise because he believes that his value as a human being and his inherent nobility have been recognized. Thus, Pip accepts Pimplechock's flattery without blinking. Okay, so Uncle Pimplechock says, the boy is no common man, and may I associate it with handshakes? So he just know that he is being flattered, but he accepts it as it is. From Pip's hope comes his uncontrollable, impossible love for Stella, despite the humiliations to which she has subjected him. For Pip, winning a place in society also means winning Stella's heart. Next, we have the theme of wealth. As the novel titles implies, money is a theme of great expectations. Central to this is the idea that wealth is not acceptable to the ruling class if it comes from the labor of others. Miss Havisham's wealth comes not from the sweat of her brows, but from rent collected on properties she inherited from her father, a brewer. Her wealth is pure, and her father's profession as a brewer does not contaminate it. Herbert states in chapter 22 that when you cannot possibly be gentle and beg, you may be as gentle as never was and brew. Because of her wealth, the old lady, despite her eccentricity, enjoys public esteem. Okay, he is esteemed by the people, so she enjoys public esteem. She remains in constant business relationship with her lawyer, Jackers, and keep a tight grip over her court of sycophants. So that, far from representing social exclusion, she is the very image of a powerful landed aristocracy that is frozen in the past and emblemed in its own pride. On the other hand, McWitch, his wealth is socially unacceptable. Firstly, because he earned it not through the efforts of others but through his own hard work, and secondly, because he was a convict and he earned it in a penal colony. It is argued that the contrast with Miss Havisham's wealth is suggested symbolically. Thus, McWitch's money smells of sweat and his money is greasy and crumpled. The next theme is gentility. Okay, the gentility. The idea of good breeding and what makes of a gentleman other than money. In other words, gentility is the central theme of Great Expectations. The convict McWitch covets it by proxy through Pip. Mrs. Pocket dreams of acquiring it. It is also found in Pumblechook's sycophancy. It is even seen in Joe when he stammers between Pip and Sir during his visit to London, and when Biddy's letter to Pip suddenly become reverent. There are other characters who are associated with the idea of gentility. For example, Miss Havisham's seducer, Compeyson. Okay, while Compeyson is corrupt, even McWitch does not forget he is gentleman. This also includes Stella, who ignores the fact that she is the daughter of McWitch and another criminal. There are a couple of ways by which someone can acquire gentility. One being a title, another family ties to the upper class. Mrs. Pocket bases everyone's aspiration on the fact that her grandfather failed to be knighted, when Pip hopes that Miss Havisham will eventually adopt him as adoption. Will adopt him as adoption. Now, as evident by Stella, who behaves like a born and bred little lady in The lady is acceptable, but even more important, though not sufficient, are wealth and education. Pip knows that and endorses it. Okay, Matthew Pocket, not Jackers, who has earned his status solely through his intellect, can aspire gentility, not Matthew Pocket, but Jacker. Bentley Drumley, however, embodies the social ideal so that Stella marries him without hesitation. Next, we have moral regeneration. Okay, another theme of Great Expectation is that Pip can undergo moral regeneration. Pip's problem is more psychological and moral than social. Pip's climbing of the social ladder upon gaining wealth is followed by a corresponding degradation of his integrity. Thus, after his first visit in Miss Havisham, the innocent young boy from the marshes suddenly turned into a liar to daze his sister Mrs. Joe and his uncle Pumblechook with the tales of carriage and veil chops. More disturbing is his fascination with Sati's house, where he is despised and even slept, visited by ghostly visions rejected by the pockets, and the gradual growth of migration of London. The allure of wealth overpowers loyalty and gratitude, even conscience itself. This is evident by the urge to buy Joe's return. In chapter 27, Pip's haughty glance at Joe deciphers the alphabet, not to mention the condescending contempt he confesses to Biddy, copying Stella's behavior towards him. Pip represents as as do those he mimic as though those he mimics the bankruptcy of the idea of gentleman and becomes the sole beneficiary of vulgarity, inversely proportional to his mounting gentility. In chapter 30, Dickens parodies the new disease that is corroding Pip's moral values through the character Taps Boy, who is the only one not to be fooled. The boy parades through the main street of the village with boyish antics and contortions means to satirically imitate. The gross comic caricature openly exposes the hypocrisy of this new gentleman in a frock coat and top hat. Trapp's boy reveals the appearance has taken precedence over being protocol on feelings, decorum on authenticity, labels rein to the point of absurdity, and human solidarity is no longer the order of the day. Okay, Stella and Miss Havisham represents rich people who enjoy a materially easier life but cannot cope with a tough reality. Miss Havisham, like a melodramatic heroine, withdraw from life at the first sign of hardship. Stella, excessively spoiled and pampered, sorely lack judgment and falls prey to the first gentleman who approaches her. Though he is the worst, Stella's marriage to such a brute demonstrates the failure of her education. Stella is used to dominating but becomes a victim of her own vice, brought to her level by a man born in her image. Pip's conscience. Now, another important theme is Pip's sense of guilt, which he felt from an early age after the encounter with the convict. Pip is afraid that someone will find out about his crime and arrest him. The theme of guilt comes in even greater effect when Pip discovers that his benefactor is a convict. Pip has an internal struggle with his conscience through great expectations. Okay, and so Pip's moral regeneration is a true pilgrimage punctuated by suffering. This includes the burns he suffered from saving Miss Havisham from the fire, the illness that was the obligation of having to reply them, hard work which he recognizes as the only accepting of Macwitch, a coarse outcast society. Pip is redeemed by love that for sacrifice, or for the Dickens for generation of Christian moralists, it is only acquired through sacrifice. Okay, I hope you have understood the redemption. Pip is redeemed by love, which we find is a generation of Christian moralities. Pip's reluctance completely disappears and he embraces Macwitch after he grows selfless and his expectations are confiscated by the crown. Moments before Macwitch's death, Pip reveals that Stella, Macwitch's daughter, is alive. A lady and very beautiful, and I love her. That's what he says. Here the great sacrifices the recognition that he owes everything, even Stella, to Macwitch. his new debt becomes his greatest freedom. Pip returns to the forge, his previous debt, and to meaningful work. Let us look into the symbols of this story. The first is mist. The mist clouding the landscape around Pip's village symbolizes psychological uncertainty, as it is obscures the view. It represents lack of clarity, insight of knowledge. Pip's four most formative experiences all takes place in the mist. Early in the novel, Pip runs terrified through the mist to bring stolen food and a file to the convict. Not only is Pip uncertain and afraid of the convict's threat, he is completely unaware of the immense generosity his action will inspire in the convict over the next 20 years. Likewise, Pip moves through heavy mist as he first leaves his village for London, not knowing how different his life there will be from the grand, gentle life he has was obsessed with or obsessed about. Later, Pip walks through the mist on his way to meet his anonymous informant, who turns out to be Orlick, lying in wait to kill him. Finally, Pip passes through mist to visit the rest site of Setty's house, where he is surprised to find Stella and the promise of a new life. Next, the iron leg symbolizes justice. More literally, the convict's iron leg physically constrained them within the terms of their court-decreed prison sentence. Yet Pip also compares the damp coal of the marshes to a long iron, foreshadowing the sense of constraining he feels in the village as he ages. For much of the novel, Pip treats the village and its working class lifestyle like a prison he tries his best to escape. The iron leg becomes a symbol of preserved justice. Symbol of preserved justice when used as a weapon, as when Orlick used it to strike Mrs. Joe brutally on the head, exacting his horrifically overblown revenge. The last is Setty's house, is a symbol of frustrated expectations. The word Settis comes from the Latin word enough, and that the house must have been given its name as a blessing or a premonition that its residents would be satisfied with the lives they lead between its wall. Yet throughout the novel, Setty's house is nothing but dashed dream and bitter disappointment. Miss Havisham turned the house into a shrine to her betrayal of compassion for 20 years. Likewise, Pip's most tenderly cherished expectations that he will marry Stella is formed and destroyed at Setty's house. These disappointments Setty's house content can only be repaired by the expense of the house itself. Thus, Miss Havisham rediscovers her heart just as her wedding chambers are destroyed by fire. Thus, Pip and Stella look towards a happier relationship only after the house is razed. So this is all for this video. Do keep yourself updated. I will be giving an explanation of the chapters in the coming videos. Thank you.